This morning, the manhunt for former police chief and escaped inmate Grant Hardin continues. We're hearing from the family of the man he was convicted of killing 8 years ago, now that he's on the run.
As we head out the door this morning, temperatures not looking too shabby. Pretty normal for this time of year in the upper 50s and low 60s. Dry today, but a rain chance tomorrow. We'll have that full forecast coming up in about 10 minutes.
And local leaders discuss a pending sewer rate hike in Aroma. We'll have more on the options that they're looking at.
A live look over Fort Smith here at 6:30 this morning. 5 News This Morning starts now.
Covering news where you live. This is 5 News This Morning.
Well, hey, good morning. Thanks so much for waking up with us here on 5 News this morning. I feel like we're off to a great start. We got the team all together today.
Yes.
Danny's been here your first full day since 4:30 this morning. How's it feeling so far?
Feeling good. I was going to say right now, the energy's still there. I'm sure as we head into the later morning, about 9:30, 10, it'll probably hit a wall like I usually do.
Get tired.
Yes, but I was trying to stay on my feet because once I sit down, that's where the game's over. So I got to stay standing.
Joe, I asked him if he's a coffee guy. He said no.
I know. We're going to change that, though.
I was going to say, you can try your best because I've only had maybe like one, I can count on my fingers how many cups of coffee I've had in my life.
Do you just not like the taste, or you stay away from caffeine?
Yeah, I try to stay away from caffeine, but yeah, usually the taste for me, it's not
enough
healthy.
sugar in it.
I was going to say, I was going to say, I like sugar, so I was going to say, it's not really coffee at that point to me, but I was going to say, maybe I'll have to transition.
We'll have to find someone who can make a good cup of coffee. So, that's the key.
I'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, so if you're headed out the door this morning and need that cup of coffee, and temperatures aren't too shabby there in the upper 50s and low 60s, that cloud cover, not a lot in terms of expansive cloud cover off to the east, but to the west, we're seeing a lot of low-hanging cloud cover in northwest Arkansas. The River Valley is more of a kind of thin cloud cover, so the sun is still peeking through, but it is there. Fog was a little bit of an issue this morning in some areas, especially in LaFleur County. You can see it down again to 0 miles there in Poto. Things have improved a little bit there for visibility, but we are going to see things, again, maybe a little bit of areas of reduction of visibility. Here's a look at Poto, though. So again, I think for the most part, it is looking okay now. Again, some areas and some low-lying areas could see maybe a little bit of that fog. Of course, northwest Arkansas for today, again, we're going to see temperatures in the 70s. Again, I don't think we're going to see any rain for us today, and that wind will be light out of the north around 5 to 10. So again, not looking too shabby for us, getting close to 80 in the River Valley. That rain chance, though, is going to return for us tomorrow, and then for the rest of the weekend, except maybe Saturday night and early Sunday, we will see maybe a light rain chance. Otherwise, it's looking very nice. We'll have that full forecast coming up in just a little bit. For now, let's take a look at traffic here. We're going to look at I-540 at US 64 at the interchange there. And looking pretty nice there. No accidents or closures to report. Traffic moving smoothly. So as you head out the door, of course, it doesn't hurt to check the RDOT cams and traffic conditions. Otherwise, they're looking pretty nice. Again, we'll have that complete forecast of that rain chance tomorrow coming up in about 10 minutes. Joe and Tiffany.
All right, thanks for that, Danny. Well, the manhunt to capture escaped prisoner Grant Hardin continues this morning in Arkansas, entering day 4 of the search.
Yeah, you'll remember Hardin escaped from the North Central Unit in Calico Rock on a Sunday afternoon. He was serving prison sentences there for first-degree murder and rape, both crimes happening in Benton County. Now, we're also learning more details from investigators. They say that they believe a corrections officer mistook him for a guard and let him walk out of that facility. They shared this surveillance image captured during the escape. Hardin was disguised to look like a corrections officer when he walked out of prison.
Law enforcement agencies from across the state have been involved in the manhunt, working through the rainy and foggy conditions to locate Hardin. Those efforts include checkpoints, searches with drones, as well as canine units.
And right now, Carter Thweet is on the ground in Calico Rock, not far from that prison.
Yeah, Carter, what can you tell us about the search efforts this morning?
That's right, guys. We've seen a lot of those checkpoints that you mentioned. We've been in Calico Rock since yesterday, and I gotta say, this morning, the search efforts actually seem more extensive. We've had our car checked now several times since getting here, and it seems like even though it was 5 a.m. when we rolled into town, there were more law enforcement officers out this morning than there were yesterday. So search efforts certainly not slowing down here, and it is a big effort, like you said, multiple officers, agencies from across the state. I was told not to give specifics about who's from where, but I've spoken with officers from as far as 3 hours away. So this is definitely an all hands on deck kind of effort. And like you said, several checkpoints that we've gone through, as well as other search methods. As far as what to expect going forward. I spoke with the Department of Corrections yesterday, and the main thing they want to emphasize is that they're going to continue to follow up on all leads. So if you know or see anything, they encourage you to contact your local law enforcement. Reporting in Calico Rock this morning, I'm Carter Thweet.
All right, thanks so much for that, Carter. Well, the moment the Department of Corrections realized that Hardin had escaped on Sunday, they notified police to get that search underway, but that next call was to the victims' families.
This morning, the sister of the man killed by Hardin in 2017 is speaking out after the escape. 5 News reporter Morgan Wrigley is live in Benton County, where the family says this week's escape has left them shaken. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning, Tiffany and Joe. 5 News spoke with Gateway Mayor Cheryl Tillman, who tells us that this escape has reopened wounds from 8 years ago when she found out her brother James Appleton was shot and killed. Now, Tillman says she got a call on Sunday night alerting her that Grant Hardin had broken out of prison. In 2017, Hardin drove up next to her brother James Appleton in his car on a rural road in Garfield, shot him through the car window and drove away. Tillman says this escape never should have happened and says she's going to feel unsettled until Hardin is back behind bars, and she urges her community to stay alert.
I just want all of the people in our community to stay vigilant. You know, wherever you're out, watch your backs. Just be careful of what you're doing. This man is evil.
She says that she is grateful for the efforts of the deputies here at the Benton County Sheriff's Office and says that they are keeping a close watch on her family during this time. Back to you, Tiffany and Joe.
All right, thank you so much for that, Morgan. Now taking a look at the photographs shared by authorities. That photo on the left there is Hardin's latest prison mugshot. The photo on the right from surveillance video taken when Hardin walked out of prison. Make sure you're following us at 5newsonline.com throughout the day. We'll have the latest updates on the search. And also coming up this morning, right after 5 News this morning, it'll be at 7 a.m. on 5+. We'll have an in-depth look at this manhunt, breaking down everything we know about the investigation and Hardin's past.
Yeah, we'll also have live reports and continuing coverage from where the manhunt is underway. Make sure to tune in on 5+ coming up at 7 a.m. for this in-depth look into the escape of Grant Hardin. Well, today, Richard Copeland is set to appear before a Washington County judge for an arraignment. He's the man accused of setting up a camera inside the bathroom of a Springdale business. The camera was discovered by a patron, and investigators discovered at least 7 people had been recorded while using the restroom. Prosecutors say that they're still examining more evidence found inside Copeland's home and that he could face more charges when they have a clearer idea of how many victims there are.
Well, the cities of Fort Smith and Aroma sat down to talk about a pending massive sewer rate hike from Fort Smith. Starting June 1st, Aroma was supposed to see their sewer rates jump by 350%. Arcoma's mayor says the town is still pushing for a fair contract, but some on the board insist the rate hike is necessary to avoid subsidizing the smaller town.
To absorb the retail rate as a municipality and then try to pass that on to our customers, along with the intrinsic cost of running any system, just as you guys have, it's untenable.
If we go towards a wholesale rate for somebody, we are going to have citizen after citizen after citizen asking for that rate to us.
Turning their water off is not the answer.
Well, on Tuesday, the board made a request to city staff to come back with a different sewer rate plan for Aroma to be formally adopted by the board at a future meeting.
Well, this morning, new developments in the White House's ongoing clash with Harvard University. The Trump administration has directed agencies to end around $100 million in remaining contracts with the university. Jared Hill has more.
Protests at Harvard University as the Trump administration's battle with the institution intensifies, ordering federal agencies to review all remaining contracts with Harvard for termination or transition. The White House has already frozen over $3 billion in federal research grants and contracts. Last Friday, a federal judge temporarily blocked the administration from banning foreign students from enrollment at the university.
We, as international students in Harvard in the U.S., we are not enemies of the U.S.
The White House has accused Harvard of discriminatory hiring practices and of not doing enough to address anti-Semitism on campus.
Everybody knows they're anti-Semitic, and that's got to stop immediately.
On NPR Tuesday, Harvard's president said the university has made real progress dealing with anti-Semitism and added, quote, "We need to be firm in our commitments to what we stand for."
This is a question of democracy and the rule of law in the United States.
The Trump-Harvard escalation comes as the State Department confirms a cable ordering U.S. embassies around the world to pause scheduling new student visa appointments as the administration moves to expand social media screening and vetting of new applicants. Jared Hill, CBS News.